missing. Okay, I'm not going to give you any clues. Those regular watchers will know what's missing. Okay, and write questions below. I mean, the right answers. That was the question. I just asked you the question. If you give the right answer, you'll have a mention,
Shout
and
out. Yeah.
we may send you a reward. I don't know what that's going to be, but we'll send you a reward.
But it's not between us. It's something on him.
No, 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 no. That's
Yeah.
too easy.
Oh,
You shouldn't
sorry.
do
I
that.
gave it away.
You spoiled that. Uh,
Sorry.
Ahiranta's giving you a clue. I'm afraid that's lessened your reward now. But who knows?
Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah,
Who knows how a flower grows, isn't it? So what is
that's
the plan after this one?
uh,
Because what?
there's a question there.
Where?
Where did Ahiranta get that verse from? Who knows how a flower grows? Answers below.
I don't even know that.
And by the way, thank you for our donators who put money towards our worthy cause, which was a pint of cider today. We could afford a couple of pints of cider today from all our donations, from all you lovely people out there who love us so much that you just allow us to get pissed
Yeah.
on.
That's why we are live. Some people ask if we
Yeah,
could do
yeah.
a live version.
And we are spiritual. We get
Oh.
spiritually pissed. And when we go back on the bus, this one, she is big trouble. She causes trouble on the bus. The amount of punch ups I got into because of her, and she just says things.
None.
Yeah, 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 you do. What about that woman at the till that time? Anyway, I forgot which one that was, but there were
Yeah,
so
I
many.
don't know. She was fancy, you did she?
Nah, I don't know about
Then
that.
I don't know. But anyway,
Yeah, yeah,
we are not out for any
troublemaker.
trouble. But what's the plan? What?
Oh, she's always putting people right, correcting people.
Only
Yeah,
if it's needs be.
she's how do you say? What was the last one he done? I don't realise it, but oh yeah, the kids. Remember the kids on running across the and jumping off the
Portsmouth.
Portsmouth castle,
We,
and
we just we just were watching. There was an event going on, sailing event,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
Portsmouth
and
Harbour,
it was
right?
busy, and we found a nice spot on the wall.
Yeah, yeah. And
But
there's lots of people walking
not
this way,
yeah, not
walking that
not
way.
knowing that
Nice
the
sunny
children
day.
jumped off that wall
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
So they asked me to
Portsmouth
move.
Harbour.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they asked me to move. I said, no, sorry, I'm not going to move. Yeah, he said, but we want to jump off here. I said, yeah, I understand that, but if you jump off here a week before there,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
said,
That's right. Yeah,
if you get in trouble, I can't stay and seated here and see you drown. That means I have to risk my life to rescue you, and I don't want that responsibility. I must say, I didn't use those words. I just said no, and but that was the motivation behind the no. And then another guy came who stood up for those youngsters, and he got almost in trouble for that.
yeah. Well, I sat there then, because I could see what was going on. I mean, it wasn't a couple of youngsters; they were big lads, like
Yeah,
18 and
teenagers,
like,
all
and
teenagers. Yeah,
then there was a big guy there with them, and
drunk,
I thought, oh
drunk in
God.
it,
I
Phil.
mean, that's right. She don't know. She thinks she's middle class Dutch with her background.
No,
Well,
my parents are working class, but
your
yes,
parents was, but
yes,
you
yeah.
became middle class,
I became middle class and now I'm working class. No, I'm now without class.
and yeah, underclass now.
Under class.
And the first place I took her when she came to this country was to visit my son in prison, and that was a downbringer. That was.
Oh my gosh,
Anyway,
yeah.
I'm not proud of that, to be honest
No,
with you. No,
no,
don't get me wrong.
no.
I mean,
But it was an experience though.
uh,
Wow.
and so like I think, oh no, she just don't understand how. She
The
thinks she
British
can ask
culture.
like these
Yeah.
youngsters, rebel youngsters, who are happy to run and jump like about how many feet? Like 20 foot,
I wouldn't jump.
20
No.
to 30
Yeah.
foot from the wall into the water. And I thought, oh God, here we go. So I had to sit there, like, and they said, get out the way, like. I said, no, I said, what she just said? I said, we don't want that. We don't want, you know, nobody will jump in that water to save you except us two idiots here.
Yeah, that's right.
And So therefore, we're going to be the ones who speak the loudest about that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
But we were not going to move.
it almost came into a fisticuffs.
Yeah, because
And,
that drunk guy wanted to be popular with the teenagers.
I bet
And-
he would have been. He was a big fat bastard. He was, and I bet he would have been the last one to jump in the water to save any of
That's
those
right.
kids. And somebody had died. They got drowned in that water trying to save a little
saving girls.
weeks before. And
But anyway, there was lots of people around, absolutely loads, and nobody intervened, but they looked. And once we
they were all
decided,
looking.
we decided to move on. A few people did tell us, "Good job."
Yeah,
And then we came across two police officers on the bike.
yeah.
So we stopped them and had to talk to
Yeah.
them. And it turns out that there is a bylaw
A bylaw. Yeah, that was it.
that
Yeah.
gives people the right to jump off the walls. But when we explained that and the person drowned, weeks later,
Yeah.
months later, we read that the bylaw, it was
been-
forbidden now. There's a sign on the wall,
Yeah.
forbidden to
For
jump.
150 years, they had a bylaw there that youngsters were allowed to run and jump off there, and something like a 30 feet drop, and risk their lives, and whoever's life who's stupid enough to jump in and save them after it would risk their lives too.
Yeah.
Because the fella that drowned in that water, I don't know what happened to the little kid he was trying to
No,
save.
he saved the girls.
He saved the girl.
And he
How did
drowned.
he drown then?
He drowned. He got in trouble.
Yeah, I couldn't
Yeah.
quite remember the full story,
Well,
but I know he died.
It is close to the entrance of
Yeah, and,
Portsmouth Harbour,
this
and the
undercurrent,
tide
yeah.
and the undercurrent took him.
Took him,
and they
and,
found him days and days later.
Yeah.
And I don't say that we changed that day.
I think it happened. I mean, 150 years,
I
right?
think it had an effect.
And
though.
we caused a bit of a stir. You know, there's all those people walking by. Nobody backed us up, but yet you could see people wanted to because he was scared of the youngsters.
Yeah.
Because there was a gang of them.
Yeah.
And this one.
Yeah, but I don't think about it really. That is the problem. This culture here is so different than. But then again, when I talk to Tamara, our daughter in Holland, she says it's not the same in Holland anymore more than when I left. We are decades later now, and it's not as goody two shoe in Holland. But then again, we were in Holland together, and you said how different the youth was when we were sitting on the terrace eating apple cake. I took you for apple pie, typical Dutch, apple pie and coffee, and there was youngsters sitting next to us and so well behaved.
I couldn't get
you
over
said,
that.
"Wow, they are so different."
I
here."
mean, I kind of got it like angled out. You know, you know what kids to expect trouble from because you tell by the way they dress and their attitude and stuff like that. And there was these two kids that I would normally expect to have a little bit of attitude, and there they were sitting there properly mannered, like two gentlemen, like the old school. You know, when it was morality was an important thing for people to live by.
Yeah.
But today, I mean, you parents out there today, you young parents, and I don't care what you're going to say to me about this, but you young parents out there today got no idea. You've got no backbone with your children. You don't know how to bring them up properly with a proper discipline and respect for the elders. They're allowed to choose everything they eat. They're allowed to argue with their parents, and it's just wrong.
In comparison to how we were brought up, because
No.
there are young parents who do.
Yeah, let me say this. No should mean no. And do you know why it shouldn't mean no? Because if they can argue about something they want, I want sweets instead of dinner, which is what happens a lot, it means you're allowing them to give in to the desires, the sweetness of life. And the thing is, right, there's no discipline then. When you give in, you allow yourself to give in to the sweetnesses in life, the lusts, the desires, the temptations. Then when they get older, it's like they learn that, they take that into a relationship with them. And if I can kick a tantrum and win an argument, get something that I desire because it's nice to my senses, then you take it into the next relationship. From what your parents have taught you, you take that into a relationship and you end up having fallouts with your partner. You end up being a totally selfish bastard. There's no self-discipline. There's no thinking about others. There's only thinking about yourself and what satisfies you. And that's what you do into your children, because no does not mean no. I really am a bit strong on that. I'm sorry if I come over strong, but it's so important
but not all
No,
parents
not all.
nowadays are useless.
No, no,
But
not all.
but
So, there are some intelligent guys out there, of course there are, but not many.
yeah, no. We
You only
see a
got to
lot
watch
of
them
we, s-
walking by.
we see a lot of trouble. Yeah, Um, it's different. It's totally different than how we were raised. And I don't say the way that we were raised is better. I mean, when we were young, there was a lot of physical punishment, isn't it?
Yeah,
And that kept us, well, not all of them, but that kept some of us in
yeah, yeah.
within the
There's a law
lines.
against that now, apparently.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
and it should be because too many people are being killed.
yeah, but they take it.
Pardon
I
me.
mean, I remember when I
It's
was
too
in
far
school,
that way.
they used
Yeah,
to have the cane, and
yeah.
they really corporal punishment and all that kind of stuff in school. And some of those teachers in the school that I went to, they took it too far. They abused the system, and you always get that.
Yeah.
So you always got too much or too little.
Yeah, it is
And
always, isn't it? No matter what rules we put upon each other to get along with each other, there's always those who abuse it.
yeah,
It's always, and that's
I,
why we try to do these talks,
yeah,
and that's why we labeled the Happy Life Show.
yeah.
To we have our experiences and we would like to pass it on. That doesn't mean that we are perfect
You
because
can't.
we
The thing
know
is,
what to pass on
yeah,
because of the mistakes we make
yeah,
and made. That's why we can pass on what worked. We know we tried this,
yeah.
didn't work. We tried that, hey, that had good results. So that's what we try to pass on.
And do you know something? Like, how does this relate to happiness? How it relates to happiness is that when a child becomes an adult and they're out in life and they're there to please themselves all the time, you know, a selfish, self-centered. I mean, I know some of you get it right. I'm not saying all of you get it wrong, and but it seems like it's a majority is getting it wrong with bringing their kids up because of what they're turning into, totally self-centered. And take a look, right, at those children that have everything you can afford to buy them, right, and give them a happiness check. Compare them up to the kids who got little but can just get by. And
Mm,
except for the ones who live in a rich society who think they're hard done by, not
yeah.
those ones. And see the big smiles on those kids' faces that,
Mm.
for instance, live in poor cultures,
I have seen it.
and
Mm,
they are much more happier than those ones that's got everything and can ask for everything and they're given everything they want.
yeah.
And that's where it relates to happiness. Bring the child up with self-discipline. No means no.
Self control, really,
Yeah,
that they can monitor their own wants and needs and learn to recognize it and where it goes. Because I have been to Indonesia in the 1980s. I think it was 1988. And when I flew into Jakarta and went outside of the hotel, it was absolutely disgusting. The air was blue with the exhausts and stuff, and that's all improved now, luckily enough. But we went to with the bus somewhere, and I saw the people living in cardboard houses, and it's a tropics, I know that, but still very poor. And the children smiles if you would just and you don't rub a child
no
over the
shoes
head.
on their feet.
No, but it's a hot country, so there's no need for it really. In Indonesia, by the way, for those who are interested, you never rub a child over its head like we do here, like, oh, I like you, because that's degrading in that culture. So you need, before you go somewhere, you need to, yeah, wise up on
Well, like
that.
in Japan, where if you piss on someone's head, that's total bad disrespect.
I think it's here
Not like
too.
over here.
It's here too.
It's not.
But
Not where I come
I
from.
had licorice with me, for example, and I shared that with the children there. They spit it out. Because it for them licorice, they're not used to that. So I had that wrong. But I also took pencils, coloring books. The smiles, you have never seen bigger smiles than that. I felt so guilty sitting there with my, well,
Western.
I'm mixed race, but my white bum, rich compared to them. And they had inner happiness. They were connected with that bag of happiness in their belly. And that opened something
And
inside of
why
me.
was that?
That
Why
was,
was that? Because they were brought up in a culture where there's nothing looking rich around them. So there's no ambition. There's no desire to be any better than where you're at, where you're
yeah,
living. the reality of your
They were
situation.
present. Yeah, they were present.
The
Yeah.
economy in that country is very
Yeah.
poor, so there's no prospect of being rich. When you take that away, then people have to learn to be where they are and to accept what they, where they're going to go and what they're going to become. And so they don't think about the future. They don't need to,
Yeah.
because there's no future.
That's true.
That's what we would say.
Yeah.
We only say there's no future because for us, the future means something bigger, something better, something more, something
Yeah.
nice.
And again, we have no idea what the sound quality will be with this.
No.
So it's just testing this out. This is the first time we go live, actually. Well, you have done a few live ones, but this is the first
Yeah,
time.
that's right. Aye.
And
That Hamilton Parker guy, innit?
oh, he goes live often, once a week or
Yeah,
twice a week.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny, right? He does. I remember we were talking, like, and he said, "What shall I do about making one for myself?" And I said, because I remember, like, on a Swedish course, learning Swedish, right? Yeah. And here I am, and I said, "Why don't you have a coffee break session, like coffee break with Craig Hamilton Parker?" And he took that on board. And here I am talking about that bastard, and we're in a Swedish shop having a fika that idea came from. So it's like full circle, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh,
Fika on
yeah,
the wall over there.
it's there. It is a Swedish custom, and that means you take a break for whatever you are doing,
Yeah,
and to have spend some time with people you are with, colleagues, but also friends or family,
yeah.
and just drink coffee and have some niceties with it, cake, or and it's ingrained in
In
Swedish culture.
Swedish, yeah,
Fika. Look
yeah.
it up. Really interesting.
We're looking forward to doing that journey. So keep in touch with us, because possibly, I think for possibly by May or April of next year, we will be
we
doing a road journey.
We hope so.
And we've been like, Ahiranta have been putting some video clips up for everyone who might have a little interest in it.
Yeah.
And I think, like, especially you van lifers out there,
Yeah, we love van
because
life. Yeah.
it's just the. I mean, we've been watching like van lifers in the UK, and I remember there's Nick and Sarah. We watched them when they were in England. They done England, like,
And Wales.
yeah,
And they had rain
yeah,
after rain after
and
rain.
you could see, right, because they don't want to be miserable to their subscribers, but you could see, like, oh, it's raining again, like, and
Yeah.
oh, it's Wales, and like, and they were trying to keep a positive, upbeat sort of attitude towards it, and but you could see really, and they go to places parking in England, and there's all these bloody laws, you can't stay there overnight, and they
Yeah.
camera you and send you a fine to your house, and it should be all right, I think. Although I
As
suppose,
long as you respect the land, and that's
Yeah.
where it goes wrong here
suppose
in the UK.
yeah,
Some of us who like to live from a fan spoil it.
yeah.
They take liberties.
But
and
in Sweden, there's only 10 million people living there, and you've got a bigger area. I mean, England is not as big as Sweden,
no,
is
but
it?
the culture in Sweden is different. Swedes are very environmentally aware.
Yeah,
They recycled way before we Europeans started doing it. They are really aware. They
On
treat
clean
their
energy as well.
environment. Yes, they are innovators, the Swedes. And don't get me wrong, some now and then you do find litter, but do you know what? If Swedish people find litter done by or tourists or other Swedes, they clean it up.
yeah,
They don't step over it. They pick it up and clean it up.
Yeah.
They respect their land. And if we all would do that here in the UK,
Yeah.
we wouldn't now have so much resistance
Yeah.
against us fan lifers. Because during the corona, not the corona, yeah, coronavirus,
Corona,
it went wrong in many places.
yeah.
And now
Oh,
we
but you
get
could see,
now we
couldn't
get
you?
all those signs
Yeah.
up, not for fan life, not for camper fans, not for
Yeah,
motor.
but you could see, like, Nick and Sarah. I mean, we can kind of read sometimes things. Maybe we read too much, and but you could see they were getting like pissed off with like somebody knocking on their door first thing in the morning. What are you doing back here? And
Yes.
it's just, and in England it's like that. But as soon as you get into Denmark, right, you're free to park wherever you want. Basically,
Not where everyone. They
where-
provide you for the
I,
best
I
places.
couldn't see
yeah.
any places I wouldn't allow to park. And whatever town we were passing by, there was somewhere to park. There was a sign up.
Yeah.
You look at the signs on the road. Oh, you can park here.
Mm.
Lakes, forests, fishing. Next place, you know,
But you
lakes,
also have
forests,
that. You
fishing.
also have that in France. You have airs. They call it airs.
Oh, France. I did not think much. Germany and France, although we were heading towards the
Ah,
north countries.
but we only saw
Do you know what put me
close
off
to the
France?
motorway.
What put me off France, right?
Yeah.
We pulled over in where all the truckers
Yeah,
and
just a rest place by
yeah,
the motorway.
and
Yeah.
so we go there now. We take the dogs there. I like to take them for a walk. And then Tara, our biggest dog, she was a King Corso, right? Uh, Somebody had pooed.
A human being.
Yeah, piles of poo. It must have been.
Humans. The toilets were shut.
And our
Yeah.
dog only started taking pieces out of it, like, and it was all
second-hand
over her
food.
lips.
Oh. Yeah,
And
horrible.
and
Yeah.
that really put me off France.
But
That
France is really
the
by the
toilet,
motorway. Eh? But
the
if you
toilets was disgusting.
if you go away from the motorway, apparently there are better places.
Well, I don't know
But
much
when you
about
travel
France.
through,
Aye.
you don't venture
Yeah.
far from the motorway.
But
And
yeah, that
the-
was what we saw on our way going towards
And in
Denmark.
Germany, what was it in Germany? The problem in Germany with the motorway rest places.
Germany was just, I mean, you're right, like to start with, they got different, what do you call it, road markings.
Oh, the A1,
You-
roadwork after roadwork.
Yeah, so if you got road work, and then you're looking at it from a distance, right? And in England, you're used to the bollards, and they stick them all out, and you can see, oh yeah, that's got to be
It
turning
guides
right.
you, yeah.
But then it was like
was
from a
confusing.
distance,
Mm.
all it was a combination of lighty
A
things lit
mist
up,
of light,
and you couldn't
yeah.
tell, you know. So and you had to really slow right down, and it could have been a dangerous slow down. Like you know, you should be going through those things at least
But
at 90 miles
it's
an hour.
made worse because of your color blindness, eh?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
colourblind. So
yeah.
they don't. And 1 in 12 people in the UK suffers with colourblindness.
Tell me what was wrong with rest places in Germany.
Germany, I don't remember any. Oh
I-
yeah. Germany, right? You pull over, and there's strange people sat in cars with women in there, like you know. And then you get out, you go and have a pee, and there's somebody following you. And then you look, and they got like magazines, and they got things like women's underwear hanging up in the trees there and stuff like that.
Yeah, a lot of sex is going on the
Yeah,
rest
yeah.
places in Germany. And
Yeah.
we saw older people with young girls as well, eh?
Yeah.
Young teenage girls, and they would go into the bushes on the
Yeah.
unpleasant. It was unpleasant, and if you
Yeah,
wanted
there's
to
a-
walk, we had to walk the dog sometimes. That's why we had to go a little bit away
Yeah.
from the.
If you're spiritually
rest place.
sensitive like we are, you kind of pick up different areas you go to. And I guess a lot of people probably has this, it's not just us. And I don't know if you recognize it. You pull in certain places and you pick up a vibration there straight away. And some places really feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And you just want to get out of
And
there
in
quick.
Denmark, we have never had anything else but nice overnight stays.
Yeah.
In Sweden, exactly the same. Really nice. You can just go into the forest on the track as long as you don't block it. Sleep there, and then the next morning
And you can sleep
leave.
there as long as you want.
Yeah, as long as you don't park in front of somebody's house, and you leave the place as you find it. There was something else though on the Swedish roads. Bandits.
Oh yeah.
We had one incident that they tried to pull us over by trying to get our attention. A big Mercedes was driving next to us, and they looked like people from Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
And they had two women in the back and a child seat in between, no child in it, and two men in the front. And he held up a road map by the window towards us.
Yeah, wanted us to pull over.
And signing that. And I don't know. Sometimes wisdom just appears, and I just shook my head like, no way, mate.
Yeah.
I don't think I flipped him the finger, but he got the message.
Yeah.
And then it was a really big Mercedes, and then he spat it.
A little bit over there.
Hello, darling. We have a lovely little girl there.
Yeah.
She took a fancy to us.
Yeah.
Probably
And
to
another
Ozay.
time, right, we were going
No,
out
but
there.
listen then, and
Ah.
then we driving,
Aye.
and a while later we saw them, and they had a
Aye.
foreign camper van,
Yeah.
and they were trying, and God knows what they did with those people. But
Yeah.
and another incident, you went to pay for petrol on
Yeah.
a bit away from the main road,
Yeah.
and there you picked that up straight away.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
guy,
There was I go in there, right,
yeah.
and to start with, again, there was a Mercedes parked outside, an old Mercedes. Look at it.
Hello. Sorry, we just have to give that little hello, and she's waving as well.
Yeah.
Oh, lovely. Sorry. Okay,
Yeah.
bandits.
And so like I'm going in there now, and like an old Mercedes again is outside, and then I'm watching this guy, a big fella, right, and that's not unusual, but he's a big fella, and he's like, I could just see him. He thinks nobody's taking any notice of him, and he looks a bit dodgy, you know. Again,
You
he
pick
picked
it up.
things up, like, you know,
Mhm.
and
He tried to look in your wallet too.
no, he
Hmm?
wasn't looking in my wallet
Oh.
when I first saw him,
Mm.
and he's like watching people coming up to the counter to pay, and he's looking. They're opening up their wallets, and he's put himself in a place where he can see them opening up their wallets, right? And he don't do that, and then he's looking directly at the wallet and what he's got in there.
Early 2000s, so still a lot of
Yeah,
cash in our wallet, isn't it?
yeah, and
Mhm.
so, and then I got him like breathing over my shoulder, and I'm like kind of luckily enough, we only had cards with us, I think.
No, we had cash
We had a
too.
bit of cash, but
No, we had cash too.
I didn't have it showing in my wallet, did I?
Yes,
Oh
the
well,
first time we did,
yeah,
we changed it. Bye.
and
Bye.
but what I think is that those guys, right? And this sounds a bit heavy, but my imagination kind of creates a story here, and what it is, they're on rural roads, suburban roads, not like interlinking city
Not the
roads,
E4
main
or
roads.
anything, it was the
And
smaller
I
road.
think personally,
Not the
right,
E45.
I think it's really dangerous in those if you go there, and they've got bandits there,
You have
and
to be aware,
personally, I
yeah.
think they could just top you off, bury you in the forest, and no one will ever know anything except you've
Yeah,
gone missing.
yeah. So
So,
what did we do then? The next time we did the same trip, we had a fake wallet, an extra wallet with us,
yeah,
and we had a little bit of cash in there. We had cards in there that were expired, and then in case they would demand our wallet, we would be able to give that, and then they hopefully would go off.
yeah.
So that's how we dealt with
But
that.
for those who think we're paranoid, when we first went to Sweden, we went by ship to Gothenburg,
Oh yeah.
and we got off at Gothenburg, and then we met a Scottish guy there, and this was our first time there, I think, was it?
Yep.
Second time for me, first time for you.
Yes.
And we were driving our camper van there, and I got talking, being Welsh, like, and then he
Yeah,
meet
we
us.
stood in the queue to board.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I got talking to a Scottish guy there who'd been living there. You know, he's an expat, like living in Gothenburg, and he said since I've been here, I've been mugged. Was it 8 times?
4 times. I remember 4 times.
4 times he got
It's
mugged.
still too much, isn't
Yeah,
it?
and
Yeah.
I thought that's not good. You know,
So
one person.
we took lessons from that, didn't we?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
sometimes when we can't stay very long in Sweden, we fly in and then we hire a car. And because they can't distinguish you then as being foreign,
yeah,
it gives you a more feeling that you blend in.
yeah,
The English number plates,
yeah. Makes you stand out.
they stand out. And if you are unlucky, I mean, it is a percentage is this small, isn't it?
Yeah, we felt more
Most
safer in one of
most
their hired
Swedish
cars.
people
Yeah,
are just wonderful, the ones we have met. But
yeah,
there are people with not such a nice intention. And we also saw a group of people on the other side because they have a home in Sweden. Ooh, and then there was lights, and the lights went on. Anything so small can make me enthusiastic. But anyway, we went. In those days, I was still very bedbound and wheelchair bound, and Ozay took me for a little drive around the river. And when I say little, in Sweden, nothing is little. And do you
Not even
remember
the
those
men.
guys on the other side of the river that you said, hey, there's something not right? On the other side with the big fan.
Oh yeah, yeah,
They were
yeah,
dodgy
yeah,
too. And
yeah.
they were foreigners,
Yeah, they were all they were just because there's a lot of places out there
in Sweden.
that sometimes from South Sweden they buy up in North Sweden.
They have a
They
second
leave their
home.
house as a second home there,
Yeah.
and we had the spate up. There's a spate up there of like people who come over to pick berries and stuff, and they get money for that.
Berry pickers, yeah.
And I think they look like a bunch of those people, like from Eastern Europe,
Yeah.
and they all like. We came driving by down this quiet road, out of there wasn't many traffic going down that road, and they were just coming from down a path to an house. There was a bunch of them in a white van, and they all looked at us
Really
like,
old banger.
and they shouldn't have been really like looking at us like that because we were just a vehicle on a road. I was Fiat 500, wasn't it? Just a little Fiat 500 car.
We were driving a really small
Yeah,
car.
and
Yeah.
they all looked at us like, and the looks on their faces, like they were like really, alert, and are they going to stop? Are they going to report us? Of look, and
And our home was broken into
yeah,
every time.
yeah,
Every year we came back, the house was broken into.
yeah, and they had a
But
van.
that's better now. We have an
Yeah,
alarm system.
yeah.
But anyway, the wits with you when you're
Uh,
traveling on the road, and I
that's
think most families are very
yeah,
aware
that's the
of
negative
that.
side of it, like So
Yeah.
you gotta think about those things, and like what we did was, if you do get mugged, whatever you do, don't try to be brave. Just
Hand it over.
hand it
We
over.
can we can
Even
replace it,
I
isn't
mean,
it?
what we done, we like Ahiranta said, like we made a wallet up, and we put a bit of money in it,
Yeah.
and we put some bank cards in it
Just enough to
that
satisfy them.
was
Yeah.
all basically run out or whatever, and you
Yeah.
hope that they don't look at them to check to see.
Yeah.
And then there's other ways around it, and then all you have to do is give them the cash that's in there, and the cards, the whole lot of it. They'll go their way, you'll go your way, and you've saved yourself from being totally mugged. And
Yeah.
so it's best when you go there. I think any country like that, anywhere in the Eastern Europe or whatever, you should always think like that. There's going to be bandits here because it's not like England. They're not like the law is over here. The law really got it screwed down. So there's advantages being in the UK, and there's disadvantages. And law and disorder
Yeah.
is
And
one of the
and
disadvantages.
and another story is about the sex. The guy who knocked our caravan door and asked if he could have sex with me, and he didn't know us, but he saw just a van parked with a caravan, knocked the door, and later on the police told us that that was a thing in the Netherlands then. I'm not sure if it's still, but men would take their wife, park up with a caravan, and just exploit her. I think it's now replaced
It's a
maybe
good
by
money
dogging.
earner, though.
Maybe it's replaced by dogging. I don't
Dogging,
know,
I
but
don't know. That is
uh,
dogging in a way. So if you
yeah.
go over there, like, and you take your camper van with you, and you get somebody knocking on the door, and you've got
It
a
was
wife with you.
mostly a van with a caravan.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. And we in that year we traveled. First time we traveled in Little Bessie. That was our little Renault. How do you call it? Sleeper.
Uh,
Eh? And then the second time we traveled in a big Ford van, which we had how do you call it, renovated into a sleeping, but we also had the caravan with us.
yeah.
And that is when he knocked the door on the caravan.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
never knocked the door on any of our fans.
Yeah.
So you just have to have your wits with you, isn't it? And we
You
also
could
have
get in a lot of
we
trouble.
also have
But it's the same as this country. You can get a lot of trouble
we
here
have a
too.
rule between each other as well. That when something happens, I follow blindly his instructions because he is more streetwise than I am. So that is one of the rules that we set before we set off, didn't we? So
Yeah.
if something happens, I think
guys,
that's a wise thing to do.
I think most guys like watching Dan and Nazi, like
Another
the
travel
other
show, yeah.
travel show, the trolls, the
Travel trolls.
travel trolls. Yeah. If you like, we've been following them for
A while,
a year
yeah.
now, a year.
Yeah.
And what I noticed is this same situation with them too. Like Dan is aware, you know, he's more aware of the dangers, and like Mazzy, she's a bit more kind of streetwise,
Like me, a bit
and I
naive,
see that
yeah.
with us too. Like, you know,
Yeah.
I'm more aware of the possibilities
Yeah.
that could go wrong in those
Oh,
situations.
I'm trust people way too much. It's the best side of humankind, but I do start to see that some people can go really to their darkest side
Yeah,
when they want something. So yeah,
especially, and remember, like this is Sweden, yeah, and you've got so many remote places out there. And if you go off the main
the
roads,
beaten track.
uh,
Yeah,
people feel those kind of people are there, and they feel empowered. They go if they're carrying guns because we don't know that, and maybe it's easier to get guns out there. I think it is apparently,
well,
and
no, they have a strict law, but there are hunting season. Hey,
well,
people have
you look at it,
rifles.
you look at it, right? We went there, and when we first went there, there was no uh, people on borders checking you to see what you got. Only when we came over from France, but the rest of the way it was all okay. And you have to remember as well that Sweden is linked to Russia, and then you go down to all those other Eastern European countries.
Satellite,
And
yeah.
apparently, one of the countries is it
Estonia,
Hungary or somewhere like that, and they
Latvia,
it's easy
Latvia.
or Finland. I don't know.
Latvia
And
had a bad name for a
people are
long time, but
yeah,
it's all changing now, though.
people are getting arms, buying them without license or anything like that. They're picking them up, and they're just going off with them, paying for
Yeah,
them, and then going. I mean, that means you can travel all the way
yeah,
through Eastern Europe into Sweden
yeah,
with
no problem.
with
Yeah,
arms. So
yeah,
you know, I wouldn't trust it. So whatever you do, don't try to retaliate against those muggers out there. If you do go there, like this is putting you off going there. Actually,
yeah.
talking about
We
it,
promote so much Sweden is
but I
fantastic,
mean,
but Sweden is fantastic.
yeah,
But we
we've
need
been
to.
there. How many times have we been there?
It doesn't matter. We bought a house in 2004,
Yeah,
so that's almost 20 years ago
yeah.
coming up.
And
Yeah,
we've been there enough times now to know our advice is good. Keep off the by roads, B roads or whatever they
yeah,
are.
yeah,
Stay on the main roads.
yeah,
And we haven't had any problems other than those when we went off track.
yeah.
Take the direct
And we
route.
didn't really have trouble, but we saw that it could have
Yeah,
contour.
yeah,
But we love our journey. We love traveling
yeah,
through Sweden. We don't enjoy traveling to Germany, although the last time it was not too bad. Um, we love Denmark. Uh, Holland is okay. Belgium and France. You just have to get through it. It's just a must if you want to travel from England to
yeah.
Sweden over land. Uh, we, 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 we
Okay, I
land,
get fed up with this now.
yeah, we land in Denmark, no, in France or Belgium.
Okay, I want to go home.
You want to go home? No, but not yet. But we came here to buy nail polish with glitter in it.
All the way to
And
Southampton.
two cards. We need to buy two cards. Two people we know have cancer, serious cancer. So we want to send them a card. Okay, thank you everyone. This is the end of our live stream then. No idea, probably had none views, but that's all right.
I don't care.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Yeah.
We see you next time. If you like the live stream, let us know below so we know that we can do it again. And if you didn't like it, we will do it again anyway.
Do Dan and Mazzy, you know, like that.
Bye, everyone.
No, like this.
I have no idea who to turn it off, will I tell you?
Yeah, you can turn it off later. Where the camera is over there.
Maybe on a live stream, you can't turn it off later. So how do you turn it off then? Darling, it's still on. Do you turn it off there?